Welcome to Health Relationship presentation. Again, my name is Kyoung. I'm a psychology intern working at counseling services at Kansas State University. So today for about 45 minutes, I'm going to just kind of talk about how to build and maintain healthy relationships. So Valentine's Day is coming, and I heard that actually a lot of couples break up during that time. Any idea why? The radio station I was listening to this morning was speculating, well, because they don't want to give gifts. Is that true? Are you guys all expecting some sort of gifts? Well, today's presentation isn't only going to be about romantic relationship, because relationship, the word doesn't mean, or is not limited to only romantic relationships. So you could be here because you're concerned about your relationship with your friends, professors, your parents, your siblings, anyone. Okay, first we're going to talk about, is my relationship healthy? So your partner, in your relationship, do you feel respected and you have room to be who you are as an individual? Not as a partner, but also be who you are. You have an opinion, you have thoughts, feelings that are heard, validated, and respected. Those are some of the questions that you could ask yourself. You both feel open and honest in the relationship without needing to defend yourself or attack. Again, it goes to any relationship, any types of relationship that you have. And your partner supports you in your choices even when they disagree with you. You've probably heard of the term, hey, we agree to disagree. But how easy is it actually for us to practice in real life? By the way, at any time, if you have any questions or things are not clear, feel free to jump in. And I would like actually a very interactive session. Because you guys are sitting there, I'm standing here and talking about relationship, things can get boring. So let's have some dynamic discussions. So both of you have equal say and respected boundaries, as I kind of went in first item. Respect is really important. And your partner understands that you need to study or hang out with friends or family. So having the need to have your personal time and being respected in that sense is quite important. Some people do not have a lot of needs for personal space, while some people do have quite a bit of personal space needs. And when they kind of conflict, it can be difficult because things can be taken quite personally, resulting in some hurt feelings and misunderstanding and confusion. And, in a healthy relationship, you definitely will probably feel free to communicate your feelings without being afraid or feeling, oh man, am I going to be retaliated? Is my partner going to attack me or use it against me? You don't want to have those unsettling feelings. And both of you feel safe being open and honest. Any question? So I prepared a short quiz for you. Well, I do have about 27 items to ask you guys. Simple, yes or no. As I'm going through each item, I want you to just simply mark on your note sheet or even in your mental, if you're good at mathematics. So number one, the person I'm with is very supportive of things that I do. 2, encourages me to try new things. 3, likes to listen when I have something on my mind. 4, understands that I have my own life too. Is not liked very well by my friends. Says I'm too involved in different activities. The person I'm with texts me or calls me all the time, or thinks I spend too much time trying to look nice. The person I'm with gets extremely jealous or possessive, accuses me of flirting or cheating, constantly checks up on me or makes me check in, controls what I wear or how I look, tries to control what I do and who I see, tries to keep me from seeing or talking to my family and friends, has big mood swings, getting angry and yelling at me 1 minute, but being sweet and apologetic the next. Makes me feel nervous or like I'm walking on eggshells. Puts me down, calls me names or criticizes me. Makes me feel like I can't do anything right or blames me for problems. makes me feel like no one else would want me, threatens to hurt me, my friends or family, or even pets, threatens to hurt him or herself because of me, threatens to destroy my things, my possessions, including school, books, everything. So let's do scoring. Assuming that you went through the list with just simply yes or no. For number 1 and 4, 1 point for every no you answered. And number 5 and 8, 1 point for every yes responses. And number 9 through 22, 5 points for every yes. Are you done scoring? Okay, take your time. So I just want to let you know, the higher the points that you have on the list would indicate more of the degree of unhealthiness that presents in your relationship. So if you have actually scored 5 or more, it could actually indicate some significant problems, including abuse in the relationship. If the person who you're with currently do make you feel certain ways, including those items that we went over, I want you to kind of consider what's going on in the relationship. And maybe perhaps that's why you're here, to kind of learn about what's going on. Any questions about scoring? If you have, private questions, you can ask me after the presentation. I'll be happy to assist you with the questions. By the way, how did you guys learn about this presentation? Oh, great. So it was advertised. What about you guys? Same? Okay, then let's talk about it. If my relationship is not healthy, and what is actually a not healthy relationship then? So relationships that are not healthy have these characteristics, but they tend to be based on power and control and not equality and respect. Abusive relationship. The core of abusive relationship is about actually control and power, not giving the partner enough room, space, freedom to be who they are and exercise their human rights. So, you might have been in a bad relationship or unhealthy or less satisfying relationships. What do we need to consider to move forward from those things? A person can only change if they want to. You probably have heard and seen and been there when someone, your friends, your family member, or yourself saying, oh yeah, he is just doing this and he told me that he's gonna change. She said this, that she's gonna change. Have you actually seen the change? How many times have you actually been in the relationship or heard of relationship that goes through a lot of but, big buts all over? Oh, I will change it for you. How many times have you heard from your partner, your mom, your father, your friends saying, oh, I'm definitely gonna change it, only for you? And actually, how many successful cases have you witnessed? Because, as it says, we can change ourselves only when we want to, not because someone else wanted or they're told to do. So if we can only have control over ourselves, what can we actually do? We can focus on our own needs. What do I need? Hey, I need to really focus on my school rather than trying to fix my partner. Focus on your own needs. If you need to rebuild your relationship with your family, although your personal relationship may not be going well, focus on your own needs. Now, I'm not saying you need to be selfish. I'm saying you don't need to sacrifice your needs without your willingness. And connect with your support systems. Talk to your friends. Talk to counselors. Talk to professors. Talk to parents, friends, all possible support system you have. And you can make changes in your own life to stay safe. So you probably may have siblings, family member, again, friends who might have difficult relationship struggles. Be their support. Be one of their support systems that they can rely on. I know it can be quite frustrating and very difficult to go through that even with them. Healthy relationship is not created just by one person's effort. It takes two, sometimes more. as we will go through more stuff. So then, what would help us build healthy relationship? One of the important thing is healthy boundaries. When we talk about boundaries, well, boundaries are not making you feel trapped or walking on the eggshells. And it's not a sign of secrecy or distrust. And it's not about restricting your abilities to go out with your friends without your partner, or buy clothes that you want to wear, talk to people who you want to talk to, or participate in any activities or hobbies, taking classes you like. You do not have to share your passwords to your email, social media accounts, or phone. What boundaries about? Respecting each other's just individualness, just who they are. If they have privacy, some couples, let's say, actually do share their bank account, their passcodes to emails, or sometimes even share cell phones. That's fine, as long as it's communicated and mutually agreed. There's no blackmail saying, well, if you don't give me your passcode, I'm not gonna, do this for you. Well, that's really not based on respect. It's more of threat. So in a relationship, think about it. What kind of boundaries do I feel comfortable? It's not always about privacy or even doing things for the partner. Setting the expectations can be included as boundary concept. Any questions so far? Have there been any situations in your relationship or someone else's relationship that you felt like, oh, I can clearly see there's a boundary issue? And boundaries can be, clearly communicated. It may take some time and effort to actually understand, because we do also have a lot of pressures we experience in the relationship that are coming from, okay, we have differences in background. So for example, I can talk about my personal experience. My husband was born and raised in Wichita, and I am born and raised in South Korea. So there is a lot of, difficulties that comes from the differences in our backgrounds. And as we experience any trouble, we communicate. We openly talk about, hey, from my upbringing, this was normal that we do this in this occasion. And then he shares his opinions on, oh yeah, this is kind of what it is like, in my upbringing. And we try not to, let's say, to me it was very kind of ridiculous. But I would never actually say ridiculous, because once I say, oh, that is totally ridiculous, that doesn't make any sense, me making this comment is just belittling and not respecting that person's background and that person's needs as well. So for example, in South Korean culture, speaking of Valentine's Day, so we do have a separate day called White Day, which is the 14th of March. So on Valentine's Day, what happens is that usually females give gifts to the male partner. And then on White Day, they the male partners give gifts to female. And then we have another Black Day, it's called. It's on the April 14th. The reason it's called Black Day is because we eat black noodle on that day for those singles who did not have any partnership. It's a kind of silly cultural thing that I wanted to share you. So if I talk about this to my partner, you'd be like, what? There's no such thing like that. It's all commercialism and all that. But we just, the purpose of me sharing is this because I want him to understand that there is a certain type of practice or boundaries when it comes to special occasions. If he told me about, that is ridiculous, I'm not doing that. Like, hey, I wasn't even asking you to do this. I feel like I have to defend. Do you see where I'm going? Because he violated my boundaries in terms of being, needing to be respected and understood. So look at this one. Time together and apart. Some people, again, need more time to be alone when the other partner doesn't want to. Feels completely okay and happy and satisfied in a relationship where they can spend every minute they could possibly find to be together. So again, what do? We communicate, right? We talk to each other. Not in a passive-aggressive way. Well, I guess you could go out and hang out with your friends while I'm, crying at home and just feeling miserable. Like, it doesn't sound like this person is really respecting my needs to spend time with my friends, right? Kind of like there's a sense of like guilt tripping, kind of passive-aggressive. You see that? So there are multiple layers of boundaries in a relationship, and those boundary issues, again, coming from multiple sources of pressures that we experience. Obviously, family, friends, you see a lot of married couple or unmarried couple too. Hey, who gets to spend time with family on Christmas? Okay, well, we went to your family's house on Thanksgiving, so we gotta go to my family's house on Christmas. You probably hear this a lot because it happens a lot. What would be their expectation? Communicate. Healthy communication, as we were talking about communication, right? So, setting the expectation and goals, definitely for sure. Before it even happens, don't expect that they will have the same goals and expectations. Well, this is how I grew up, this is how I've been doing, so you must follow this. Well, that will be a big red flag. And sometimes, I think in our relationships, we do experience that some people just don't tell you what they want. As if for a mind reader, it's like, Mom, what would you like to have on your Mother's Day or your birthday? And she's like, oh, honey, that's so nice of you, but I don't need anything. But then you don't get her anything, let's say, and then 3 days later, she stops calling you. Have you experienced that? Or your partner says, oh, I'll be totally fine. Well, I'm not one, I don't really want to like belittle those people, but when it comes to communication, it really takes responsibility. You need to let people know. And I want to ask you guys, okay, every single day, 24/7, do you know what you want? Or do you know what you're thinking? Do you know what you need? So, would it be fair for you to ask your partner to read your mind when you don't even know what you want? Because he or she or they love me so dearly, so they should be able to know? Wouldn't that be a little too unrealistic? And also, when you feel like, oh, I don't really want to do this favor for my partner, although I do care about my partner, it's not something that I feel comfortable, then speak up. Tell them. We're going to kind of, work on how to actually tell those things, those difficult statements in a relationship. But it is important that you have the willingness to tell them, willingness to communicate. Obviously, you have to also respect your partner as much as you want to be respected. Sometimes we need to compromise because, we're totally two different individuals who grew up separately. Before the moment that you met this partner, you're inviting this partner into your life. And I know you have a set of rules, things, and ways to do things, but it's important that you're willing to also embrace the differences and compromise. Again, it has to be mutual, because if you don't, one person constantly compromise and give, and the other person takes. What would happen? And then feel exhausted and eventually become resentful and then hurt each other, eventually destroy the relationship. So yes, I'm not blaming all the takers out there, because taking is also important. That you want to feel loved, you want to be cared about, you want to feel important. So willing to also expect to feel a certain way that is well communicated to your partner is very important. Hey honey, when you wash the dishes after dinner, I do feel really loved and respected. That's communicated, and you deserve to communicate that. It's up to the partner's decision whether they actually follow up with that. Think about the compromise thing too. Absolutely be supportive, but it's really important. When you go through a hard time, you know who's there for you and supporting and cheering you. Respect each other's privacy. We kind of talked about it in the boundary. So when we're talking about this healthy communication, I wonder, what are some of the difficult challenges that you found in your personal life or friend's life or parents' life or even on TV show? So thinking too much before you say because you want to make it perfect. Or you're not sure how this person will take it, so you keep changing the words. Should I say this? Should I say this? Should I say this? And then, as you said, you just end up not saying it because it becomes overwhelming. That's a good way of, pattern of, I guess, a way to describe a pattern of communication. So what are some of the things that you felt like, you could intend really well, but can be taken kind of wrong?
When a task is asked, can you do this? Why isn't the trash taken out instead of, can you see to the trash? Place of demand, but ask, because sometimes that's where it hits a trigger point or demand that this needs to be done when you're actually just hinting or suggesting that this.
Yes, really good point. So instead of commanding or demanding, like you do this, or making them really small by saying, why didn't you do this already? Like, it's like blaming. What they actually want, the outcome that you want to get out of this is that you want the trash to be emptied, right? One of the fun research that I actually saw is that it was between heterosexual married couple when wives wanted their husbands to do certain chores. And then usually, they say like, oh, could you please do this? And then they come home from work and then see the dirty piles of dishes not done and trash is overflowing. So they wanted to kind of see what would actually facilitate people's following through with their words. Like, which they say, oh yeah, I will do that, I'll take care of it. But days go by and you still kind of see nothing happen. So what they found is that so when you are making such a request or a favor, you give them specific timeline. So Jane Doe and John Doe, the couple. So Jane, would you please pick up the grocery, from the store by 8 o'clock? Or, hey, John, could you please vacuum this room by 9 o'clock? Give them like very specific time. And then they actually recorded the rooms and actually saw how couple interacted. And once the partners who received such, orders or requests, they didn't do it for a long time, but until about like hour before the deadline, they seemed a little uneasy, checking on the clock, and actually they completed. So the success rate was a lot higher than the case without the specific timeline. This is just a tip in terms of communication. So healthy and problematic expectations in a relationship, because obviously, in a relationship, we do have different expectations. And it's okay that you do have different expectations because, again, we're different people creating a beautiful harmony together, right? In the differences. So when we talk about expectations, we need to kind of respect the changes that we're experiencing in a relationship too. Some people do handle changes very well. Some people don't. And when they go through the adjustment period, we gotta give them some room. They just might need some time to get adjusted. And accept the differences, express wants and needs, respect your partner's rights, especially when it comes to sexual relationship. Nobody has right over anybody's body. So just because you're in a relationship or just because you're married doesn't mean that you own the other person's body. That's human rights, that they own their own body. So you gotta respect that. And be prepared to fight fair, because it's inevitable. We're gonna fight in a relationship. So how do we fight fair? Which we'll see in the next slide. Fair fighting, ground rules. Let's look at this. Remain calm. Express feelings in words, not actions. Don't throw things. Don't start kicking. Be specific about what is bothering you instead of saying, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Don't just leave me alone. Like, no, you gotta open up and actually talk and really specific. Like, I'm upset about last night. Okay, last night there were like probably a million things happen. So could you please give me a better cue so I can at least start assuming what's happened? So yeah, be specific. At the restaurant, when you ordered my food for me without asking me, that bothered me. That's very specific, right? So instead of saying, I'm upset about last night, you mean like you were upset about the clam chowder that was not fully warm? Like what? What did I do? Okay, deal with only one issue at a time, although it's difficult because when you're, especially having the tendency to bottle up things inside of you, and then it may explode, well, you can create a mental note for yourself saying, okay, tonight I'm going to talk about only this one. Although you may have like long list of things that you need to talk about. But deal with one at a time, because especially, when you start talking about difficult topics, your partner who probably wasn't ready to have that difficult conversation may go into defensive mode. And once the defensive mode is activated, what's going to happen is they will not be able to hear or process anything that you say. So deal one at a time. No hitting below the belt. Try not to generalize. Avoid make believe. Don't stockpile. Avoid climbing up. Establish common ground rules. How can we communicate better? We talked about fair fighting rules and why communication is important. Okay, find the right time. When you are about to submit your final project that is like 50 pages long paper that you worked on for 3 months, probably isn't a good time to bring up some difficult topic, right? Just give them maybe one more night so you can actually have full attention from them instead of saying, okay, what were you talking about? Find the right time to talk about it. Or if somebody is about to go into the bathroom, you don't want to say, honey, I need to talk to you. Come out of the bathroom. Well, they don't want to come out the bathroom probably forever, right? Okay, and then talk face to face. How many times you probably have, seen like BuzzFeed post or Facebook post talk about or ridiculing people who break up on text message, because people do really deserve respect instead of instant messaging it or putting on your Twitter. How about just have a cup of coffee and have them exercise their human dignity and actually talk to them face to face. And do not attack. I'm not talking about you hitting, your partner with a frying pan. Really, your words can hurt them as much or even worse. So think about it. If you're not going to be happy or appreciative the words that you just told your partner, you probably don't want to say it. And check your body language. Like, me opening up and say, I really want to understand you. I want to hear you instead. I really want to understand you. Just tell me. Like, it does feel different, right? So kind of pay attention to how your body also is telling them. Am I showing some sort of passive aggressiveness, like with my foot tapping on the ground, or like punching, like constantly? So we're going to have a really romantic dinner tonight. Yeah, right. So focus on your body language. Use the 48-hour rule. If there is an issue, don't bottle it up, don't wait. My mom, growing up, she used to tell me, she actually gave me only 24 hours instead of 48. So do not wait till talk to your partner. Because by that time, you might have created a lot of assumptions, things probably that are not true, because you probably have taken it very personally. And it becomes more difficult for you to express your thoughts too. So give yourself enough time, but do not just avoid it for too long. How to communicate when you're angry? Stop whatever you're doing and really think. You don't want to go into full attack mode. I know you're really angry. I know it's really difficult for you to even breathe. Well, if it's difficult for you to breathe, the first priority, go breathe. That probably is a good indication that you are not in a good state to talk to anybody, even to yourself, right? So breathe, stop, and at least 3 breaths deep before you start talking to your partner. And think and talk, obviously, listen. Do we have silence treatment lover here? When you get angry, you just stop talking?
I get angry and frustrated, so I'll do reverse or I'll attack back. And sometimes it makes her mad, and then she quiets down and I go about what I was doing.
Okay, so in that case, what would be most effective? Obviously, you don't want to attack. And if you feel like right now, at this moment, no pretty words will come out of your mouth. If you know that, well then, tell your partner, hey Jane Doe, I really, really, really want to communicate with you, but right now, I need some space because I know I may say some things that I don't mean, I might regret. And how about this? I'm going to go for a walk and I'll come back in an hour. And if I'm not still feeling well or calm down, I'll go for another walk. But before we pass the night tonight, we'll talk. So instead of, you tell them with no time commitment that you actually want to dedicate your attention. Because, then your partner was like, well, then when do we get to talk? Really? You avoid, and I want to talk. That's very disrespectful. It's just you dismissing the partner's needs. So tell them, I just need to calm down. How about after class, after dinner, we'll talk. So you give them enough time to process their own feelings too, but knowing that we're revisiting this topic. Okay, last thing that I want to talk about is I feel statement. So the formula, the magic formula we have is when you blank, I feel blank. Rather than saying, so let's say, you're always late for dinner. I cannot believe if you loved me, you would treat me this way. What do you feel when you hear that from your partner or somebody? And there's no word, which is always and never. We don't want to say it. Because once you hear always, never, your defense gets activated. And you're trying to think about, okay, there were times, okay, March 23rd, 2011, I wasn't late. You're just going into this investigative mode, looking for other evidence instead of what this other person is saying. It doesn't matter. You feel like you have to defend because it's not true. So instead of saying that, you could say it, when you are late for our dinner date, I feel disrespected. Is it more reasonable? Would you feel really defensive? How would you feel? You would probably feel genuinely sorry. Hey, I'm sorry that you felt disrespected. How about I put forth more effort to make it on time next time? But yeah, we definitely want to consider how we shape our words. So start with a statement, giving your partner the benefit of the doubt. Say something positive that will get them listening. So for example, honey, I know that you love me and want me to feel cared for in our relationship. And use I feel message in there, the next step. So I wanted to let you know that when you are late to our dinner date, I feel disrespected. So you already gave them the benefit of the doubt. Like, I know you love me, I know you respect me. Step 3, follow with a kind request for what you would like in the future instead of also leaving it as open-ended. Like, I feel disrespect. Okay, what would you like me to do? Well, do you think that next time we make plans, you can be here on time? Very specific, right? So they are not left like, okay, I don't want you to feel really disrespected, but I'm also not sure how I can help. So being specific can be very, very helpful. Remember the I feel statement. Conflict resolution. So we kind of talked about it. It's kind of review of it. Set boundaries, understand each other's family patterns. Again, when it comes to holidays, it can be very stressful. Or, family visits can be stressful. So know each other's family patterns. Timing, what did I say? Don't pass 48 hours to talk about problems. Because, oh, dude, I thought you were okay with that issue. Why didn't you tell me earlier? You don't want that, right? You don't want to catch them off guard. Okay, agree to disagree and move on. Clarify your messages. Really listen and restrain yourself. When you interrupt, you can cause some frustration in partners because they may feel like, oh, you don't care what I need to say. You just keep talking. Well, thanks for coming in and participating. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact us at Counseling Center. All right, well, that's it for today. Have a beautiful week and happy Valentine's Day.